Stop wasting money or solar power as a result of rough sizing of solar charge controller. What is that charge controller you are trying to size today? Is it PWM or MPPT? I want you to know that the formula for sizing a PWM solar charge controller is different from that of what MPPT solar charge controller. Because the main sizing factor for MPPT solar charge controller is different from that of PWM. Hello everyone, I welcome you back to this channel. If this is the first time of you see this, you are welcome. So I encourage you to watch our previous videos. So like and subscribe to this channel. Also hit the notification button so you can be notified of our subsequent videos. So in today's episode, we'll be discussing the sizing of solar charge controller, or how to size a solar charge controller. So you know, sizing a solar charge controller correctly enable you to maximize your solar system output or yield, while also protecting your batteries. So you know, basically we have two types of solar charge controllers. We have the PWM solar charge controller, the MPPT solar charge controller. So the main sizing factor for a PWM solar charge controller is different from that of MPPT. And the formula for calculating the solar charge controller amperage of that of PWM is different from that of MPPT. So the main sizing factor of PWM solar charge controller is different from that of MPPT because of their difference in their mode of operation. So let's just stay with us while we break this down. Thank you. We say sizing of solar charge controller. Sizing of solar charge controller. Now we have the first one to be the PWM, then the second one to be the MPPT. Now, what is the main sizing factor for a PWM solar charge controller, which is a pulse width modulation? The main sizing factor is the maximum current a solar array can produce. Now, what is the maximum current a solar array can produce? We said it is what the short circuit current, which is ISC. The maximum current a solar array can produce is the short circuit current, which is ISC for short. This is the main sizing factor for a PWM solar charge controller. Now we talk of the MPPT. The main sizing factor for an MPPT solar charge controller is the maximum current the solar charge controller can deliver to your battery bank. The maximum current the solar charge controller can deliver to your battery bank. Once you know the difference between this and this, there is no issue. Sizing a solar charge controller is as easy as anything. And you know the way MPPT solar charge controller operates is different from PWM solar charge controller. If we have a 6-volt net voltage, a 60-volt net voltage, you can use it comfortably with a 12-volt battery bank with MPPT solar charge controller. But in the case of PWM solar charge controller, you cannot use it because the PWM solar charge controller will only cut off the battery charging voltage, which is 14.4 from your 60 volts, and while the rest go to waste. Now, what is the formula for calculating the amperage of a PWM solar charge controller? We say PWM solar charge controller. The formula is greater or equal to. If you're sizing a solar charge controller, you can size over. Should be greater than or equal to. Please take note of it because you can be doing a solar installation that require you to to use a 60 amps solar charge controller, and maybe your client have a plan of upgrading in future, so you can decide to use 120 amps so that when the time comes, we will not have to get another charge controller. So that's why the formula says greater or equal to. Then we have the short circuit current times the number of parallel string in your solar array. The number of parallel string in your solar array, that times the safety factor. What is this? If you are sizing your solar charge controller, there should be an allowance for ideal conditions. According to NEC, the safety factor should be 125. You size it over 100, which is 125%. And 125 divided by 100 will give us 1.25. 1.25 is what is the safety factor. This is the formula for calculating the amperage of your PWM solar charge controller. Once you know the net, once you know the short circuit, and you know the number of parallel string in that solar array, then you multiply it by 1.25. That will give you the rating of your solar charge controller for that particular installation. Then in the case of MPPT solar charge controller is greater or equal to the maximum wattage of your solar array, or you say the net wattage or the total wattage. Let me use it. Total wattage of your solar array divided by the battery charging voltage. Battery charging voltage times the safety factor 1.25. So this is the formula for calculating or for sizing an MPPT solar charge controller. Please take note of this. This is greater than or equal to total wattage of your solar array divided by the battery charging voltage times the safety factor, which is 1.25. So we give an example that we will size a PWM solar charge controller with, as well as the MPPT solar charge controller. Now I want you to note something. Battery charging voltage. Please, you should know that your nominal battery voltage is different from the battery charging voltage. For a 12 volt battery, for a 12 volt battery, the battery charging voltage cannot be 12 volts. The battery charging voltage is the average of the buck charging and absorption charging. So for a 12 volt, we have 14.4, though it varies. It depends on the battery chemistry. If it is tubular, the battery charging voltage will be slightly different from what is it called, that of a lithium-ion battery or gel battery or AGM. So there is a difference. Although we are going to use 40.4 volts for a 12 volt battery, we use 29 volts for a 24 volt battery and 58 volts. That is the standard for a 48 volt battery. Now let's take an instance. Please take note of this formula. If we have this solar array, we now want to take an instance. We have, let's say, 8 panels connected in 4 strings. Connected in 4 strings. Maybe the next video I will be doing now, it will be on the difference between string and solar array. So let's say we have 8 panels. We have 1, we have 2, we have 3, we have 4, we have 5, we have 6, we have 7, we have 8. Let's say each of the panel, the wattage of each of the panels, let's say is 450, 450, 450 watt, 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 450 watt. Now, for us to size, to get the rating of your PWM solar charge controller for this and that of the MPPT, we need 2 things: the short circuit current and what? The total wattage of your solar array. Since it is all about the total wattage and the short circuit current, let's say we have plus minus, plus minus, plus minus, plus minus, minus, plus minus, plus minus, plus minus. So let's say the open circuit voltage of this is 45 amps and the short circuit current, let's say, is 11 amps. Now you connect this in series. If you connect this in series, so you will have this output, negative, positive. Then the same thing, you connect this in series, then you have this output, negative, positive. The same thing, you connect this in series, then you have this output, negative, positive. Same thing here, then you have this output, negative, positive. So we have what? We have 4 strings. That means we are connecting 2 in series. Then you can now parallel this. 2 in series, then 4 parallel. 2 series, 4 parallel. So the reason why I want us to go with this connection is because of your PWM solar charge controller. We are working on a 48 volt system. You know, since the panel are high wattage panel and the open circuit voltage of each is 45 amps, the best way to connect this, if you are using a 48 volt solar charge controller, is to connect 2 in series. You know, in a series connection, same current flow while the voltage add up. So you cannot connect this 4 in series. When you connect this 4 in series, the voltage for it will be total voltage will be 45 times 4, which is too high for a 48 volt solar charge controller. Too high in the sense that almost half of or more than half of the voltage will be wasted. So this is the best connection. Now, what size of PWM solar charge controller is needed for this? Now, let's bring out what we need. The first one is the short circuit current of each of the panel is what? 11 amps. Now, how many string? The number of parallel string. You know, we are going to parallel this. This will go to this. This will go to this. Will go to so at the end we just have one output of plus and minus. Now, how many string? We have the number of parallel what? String is 4. Now, what is the total wattage? The net wattage is what? 450 times 8, which is what? 450 times 8. I think that should be, so let me quickly multiply it. 450 times 8. That gives us 3,600. We have 3,600 watt. Hope you can see this. Now, the size of PWM solar charge controller we need for this, PWMSCC, we need for this, going by the formula, we said is the short circuit current times the number of parallel string in the array. You know, everything here is the solar array times the safety factor, which is 1.25. There's a reason for this, which I've explained already for this situation. So according to next standard, we are using 1.25 as the safety factor. Now, what is the short circuit current? The short circuit current is 11. Now, what is the number of parallel string? The number of parallel string is 4 times 1.25. This gives us 44 times 11 times 4, 44 times 1.25. 44 times 1.25. So let me take it a bit so that you can cover this. This gives us 55 amps. And we round it off to what? To 60. So approximately 60 amps. That means the size of PWM solar charge controller we need for this setup in a 48 volt system is what? Is 60 amps. Now, let's determine the what? The size of MPPT solar charge controller will be needed for this. Now, going by the formula, we say the MPPT solar charge controller is what? The net wattage, which is the total wattage. Net wattage, we call it total wattage, divided by the battery charging voltage times the safety factor of 1.25. What is the net wattage? That total wattage is 3,600 divided by the battery charging voltage. We say for a 48 volt system is what? 58 volt. So if you are working with 24 volt system, the battery charging voltage, you use 29 volt. If it is 12 volt, you use 14.4 volt as the battery charging voltage. So here we have 58 8 times 1.25. Now 3,600 times 1.25. This gives us 4,500 divided by 58. 4,500 divided by 58. What we are having here is 77 amps. Of course, we round this off and we have 80 amps. So that means for this solar panels, for this number of solar panels going with this connection, if you are using a PWM solar charge controller, note it is a 48 volt system, you should buy 60 amps. 60 amps. But if you are using an MPPT solar charge controller, you should buy 80 amps or more than 80 amps or more, because the formula says greater or equal to, greater or equal to, greater or equal to. You buy 80 or above for MPPT solar charge controller. For PWM solar charge controller, you buy 60 or above. Please take note of this. MPPT stands for maximum power. Please, let's take note of this. It's as simple as that. Just try and get the formula. Once you get the formula, that is that. Thank you. Please let me know in the comment section what you think about this video. So we are bringing everything to an end here. What do you think about this? And try and subscribe if this is your first time. Always like and share our videos. Thank you. See you in the next class.